I did my first post on the Ukraine war 4 years ago today. Who could have believed it's 4 years ago since Russia's special operation and that disaster over those first 3 weeks, as it turned out, and then, of course, now turned into 4 years. Now, this is particularly relevant because we're now in year 5 of this terrible, senseless, pointless bloody war. And what worries me more than anything, and I'm sure it does you, those of you who are interested in what's going on in Europe, and I'm talking in particular to my friends in America. I know a lot of Americans go, oh, who gives a shit? I don't care. We've got an ocean between us. It's a European problem, and let them get on with it. Well, that's what you did in the Second World War, by the way. Now, I'm not being critical here. I'm just stating a fact. And you're quite right. You do have an ocean, and it's 3,000 miles wide. I know it is. It's called the Atlantic Ocean. And when you're sitting in California, you're 5,000 miles away from Europe. And that's a long way. And so who gives a shit? A lot of Americans couldn't even point out, even to this day, where Ukraine is. Because they don't care. They live their own lives, isolated as they are in America. And America's got its own problems. And, of course, they concentrate on those. And I understand that. And here in Europe, we're doing the same thing. We have sat with Ukraine on our doorstep, literally 2 hours by jet from, our bases here in the UK, and you're in Ukraine. And what have we done to help Ukraine? We've given a lot of help. We've given a lot of equipment. And Ukraine is very, very different to what it was 4 years ago. It was underprepared because it was living under the umbrella of Europe, you see, because of the Budapest Agreement after they gave back all of those Russian nuclear weapons, back in 94, I think it was. And we had the Budapest Agreement where France and Britain and America guaranteed the sovereignty of that country. And what did we do when Russia attacked and took Ukraine, took us Crimea in 14 without a shot being fired? Not a fucking thing. We sat back and let it happen. Disgraceful performance. And who was the president of the United States at that time? Well, you know who it was. It was Biden. No, it wasn't. It was my mate and your mate. I've forgotten his name already. What the fuck? It was Obama. I've forgotten his name there. This is where the craft disease comes into play. And he didn't do a thing. The same as, if Russia crosses a red line in Syria all those years ago with regard to chemical weaponry, and what did they do? They dropped those chemical weapons, and what did Obama do? Absolutely nothing. But the Democrats, give them their due, they did support Ukraine. Under Trump, very different, different totally. His attitude towards Ukraine has been, in my opinion, and this is my opinion, right, okay? So everyone's opinion. I know a lot of people support him regarding Ukraine, saying that America's given more of this and more of that. And America has given a lot. But we need America in here, and America we can't let Ukraine fall. It's really important that it doesn't fall. And it's got stronger and stronger. I mean, my goodness me. When you look at how the weaponry they've now got and are used and are making themselves. Europe has finally woken up because the Europeans have sat on the fence. And, shameful performance. The United Nations, what a fucking joke. I mean, useless, absolutely fucking useless and toothless. They've done nothing to help Ukraine, to be perfectly honest. And now we have the European Union finally giving some more money, although Hungary is trying to stop it. Viktor Orban there is a pro-Russian. God knows why, because Hungary had been invaded by Russia, and the Ukraine and the Hungarians must know that. I find it quite extraordinary. And because of the way the European Union worked, the 19 billion that was promised to Ukraine may not go ahead because of Hungary putting the veto on it. Because it's no democracy in the EU. One says no, and that's it, the same as the United Nations. Going back to Ukraine, I personally think Ukraine is an incredible country. Slava Ukraini, by the way, I think you're all amazing. And this winter has been particularly bad. The increase in drone attacks, and of course drone technology has gone ballistic in the last 4 years on both sides of this war. Who will win this war? I don't know. But I hope sooner rather than later that common sense prevails and they come to some form of peace agreement. But of course, it's very difficult to say what Putin wants because he has the backing of, for some reason beyond the comprehension of any normal person, Donald Trump's backing. Why? I'll never fucking know. If you could get into the mind of Donald Trump, that'd be a win for everybody. Because quite frankly, what his attitude towards Ukraine has been anything but fucking positive, and I think it's a fucking disgrace. That's my personal opinion. If you don't agree with it, well, I don't fucking care, because that's my personal opinion. He should be backing Ukraine all the way, giving them a long-range fucking cruise missiles and saying go for it, and then Russia would go, oh shit, and then drop a few onto where it matters and where it hurts. And you know what I'm talking about there. You've got two cities, Kyiv and Lviv and the other cities across Ukraine are hit daily, and yet we never hit Moscow or St. Petersburg, and they're well within range of these missiles. They could easily be taken. Okay, just as a token, but we don't do anything. I mean, a fog of war comes out, and you've got to be really careful what you say here. There are loads of experts out there who give a load of rubbish. You can't believe anything. That's why I tend not to post. But I'm looking on my all of my news sources, and I have a lot now. And I read the Kyiv papers, the Lviv papers. I also read the Russian papers, Pravda, which is actually quite a good newspaper. It's in English, by the way. I don't read Russian. Of course, it's pro-Russian naturally, but it does have some very good articles about conservation and other things in there too. So I'm not biased, and I think the Russian people deserve the truth. How many Russians have died or lost their lives in this terrible conflict? Well, we have figures stating 1,261,420 troops have been lost in Ukraine since February 24th, 2022. Now, can you believe that figure? It is enormous, and over the last few months, the loss of Russian troops has been catastrophic. Can they continue to do this? Well, of course, Russia has always been able to find the manpower. I don't know how. I don't know how the people of Russia can put up with this, because there must be a lot of families that are hurting, but you don't know because of censorship. All I can say is I just want this bloody war, and it is a bloody war, to end, and sooner rather than later. So please, let's all work together to make Ukraine peaceful again, the war to end. It's not going to end, without concessions, and concessions will have to be made, listen to me, both of you, on both sides. Concessions that are sensible concessions, though. So let's see what happens in the next 12 months. I'm optimistic we will get something happen. And you can credit Donald Trump with that for happening. If he can get peace in Ukraine, then he'll deserve a Nobel Prize. But on sensible terms. That's the difference. Now, as for Iran, I've just got to mention towards the end here, Iran. What's happening with Iran? Those wonderful people there. They're living under the fear and the iron rule of the Ayatollah and his lot. And I just feel for the people of Iran, and I wonder what's happening. We've got that huge multi-area task force now. We've got the battle cruisers, we've got the aircraft carriers in the Arabian and the Indian and the Mediterranean areas. We've got loads of aircraft available. And of course, you've got the Israelis also, who are bound to be on the inside knowing what's going on here. What's going to happen? We cannot afford to let Iran get nuclear weapons, because if we do, it'll be catastrophic for the whole world. The whole world. And let's not kid ourselves. And by the way, to the Russians, and of course you've got Medvedev, who constantly threatens Europe with nuclear conflict. I mean, he's doing it again. Medvedev threatens UK, France with nuclear strike. He's been doing that for 4 bloody years. I wish he'd pull his head in. He's a strange little chap. Of course, nuclear catastrophe, nuclear mutually assured destruction. And by the way, what worries me, and I've mentioned it before, about the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, the biggest in Europe, remember, radiation knows no boundaries. Radiation knows no boundaries. So don't do anything with it. Don't fuck it up. And it's dominated by the Russians, of course. And I hope they have sense and sensibility there, and let the international community get in there and help to sort that out. That is a very worrying scenario for everybody. We do not want the meltdown of that huge nuclear power plant. 4 years to the people of Ukraine again. My thoughts and wishes are with you, and my prayers. And I know that I think things will get better for you. I'm optimistic. I live in hopes. We can only hope. Anyway, thank you very much, and whatever you're doing, Slava Ukraini.